Hello and welcome to our planning. This is the opportunity that we have to sit down and me to go over how do you make sure property gets in your trust and stays in your trust. Save this video. You can always go to YouTube and rewatch it, but it's going to guide you through how do I get assets into the trust. I'm going to try to get that heavy hitting stuff up front so you don't have to watch through everything, because I want to go through kind of every possible scenario. If you want to watch the whole thing, go ahead. Now, warning that I'm going to give everybody whenever I talk, and the other attorneys in my office always get after me, I like to say jokes, and sometimes they're offensive. If you're easily offended by things, you're probably going to want to turn this off. You can go ahead and just read the document. A lot of people always tell me, Taylor, you got to be more professional. You're an attorney. And so that to me is code words of Taylor, don't be funny. Just be as boring as possible. If you're that person, and I'm not trying to degrade you at all, if that is how you want to live your life, is everything needs to be professional and serious, I wrote this document in a very professional and serious way. But this video is not going to be professional and serious. It's going to add in the humor that I want. Okay? So first off, we want to make sure that during your lifetime that when you pass away, all your property gets into your trust. Now, when I wake up every morning and I leave my house, I have the Trinity, the three things that I always must have: my wallet, my keys, and my phone. I cannot have pants on, and I still would be okay, because if I have those three things, I could go buy pants. So what are the three things, the absolute three things you should know about your trust? Number one, the name, which is usually your name, living trust. I put in your client living trust, but it's your name, living trust. We do that for a reason, to keep it very simple, but it might be different if it is different because you suggested it, or the attorney that not all my attorneys agree with me on everything, and they put different names for living trust. If that's the case, make sure you memorize that. Number two, who are the trustees? It is tempting when you're filling out a beneficiary designation form that you want to put your successor trustee, the person after you pass away, as the trustee, because you think, well, this is a beneficiary designation form, and if I die, then who's going to be the trustee? Well, that person would be, so I should put them as the trustee. No, most likely you are your own trustee. 99.9% of the time, the person who creates the trust is their own trustee. So if that's the case, on every form that you fill out, you always put yourself as the trustee. And the third thing of the Trinity, of the three uniting things you should always know about your trust, is the tax ID number for your trust is your social security number. Okay? That you'll get that question all the time. Those are the three questions. If you know how to answer, you can answer like 70% of the time every time someone will ask you a question. All right. Okay, first off, the most important thing, retirement accounts and annuities. If you take those assets and put it into a trust, there will be unintended income tax consequences. We do not do that. We put the trust as a beneficiary. So I get this question all the time. Well, how do I get my property into a trust? All right. Well, let's see how difficult it is. Let's say you're a bank with Wells Fargo. So how do you change your thing? Wells Fargo beneficiary designation form. Oh, there it is. Google knew what I wanted. Oh, looky there. The first thing, Google's genius. Wow, look at that. Oh, here we are. And here's the form. So what you do, go to Google, type it in. We'll fill out the information here. Who's the account holder? If it's a joint account, you got to put both and the social security numbers, okay? Updating my existing Wells Fargo account. So if you have an existing account, then we have a thing called a primary beneficiary. If it's a joint account, when both of us die, or if it's an individual account, when I die, who gets the money? And so now, generally people do their estate planning with their spouse. So I'm going to talk as if you're a spouse, and then I'll go through a single scenario. If you're a spouse and it's a joint account with rights of survivorship, then the primary beneficiary you will want to set up as the trust. And so when asked for the name of the beneficiary, you're going to put the name of the trust. You're going to put the co-trustees, the name of the trust, okay? And then when it asks for the tax ID number, you'll put your own social security number. And when it asks for the birth date, you're going to put the date it was created, and the relationship to you is just put trust, and percentage of ownership, you will put 100%. Okay? That's a joint account. Now, let's say you have an individual account, but if you pass away, you want it to go to your spouse. Well, you can put the trust, if the trust is designed in such a way that everything goes to the spouse, then there should be no issue. But a lot of people, they just want to go directly to their spouse. So put your spouse, and then the secondary beneficiary, you could put the trust in here, okay? All right, then you'll sign here. It explains what you need to do. But you can type in anything, Bank of America, I'm probably going to regret this. Bank of America Beneficiary Designation. Oh my gosh, Google, you're so brilliant. IRA change. Okay, so this is for, now notice what I found over here. I believe this was not for IRAs. Do not use this for that. So that's not their IRA because those are different. But this is for the IRA Beneficiary Designation, Bank of America IRA Beneficiary. So that would be for a retirement account. Okay. So make sure you understand what you're actually looking up and what you're doing. So I'll put these links down below on this YouTube video. But that's what you want to do. You go in there, you find those forms, and you got to send it to them. Okay, you got to fill that out and send it to them and put that together. Now, you guys don't pay me enough for me to do that because that's a lot of work, and I would bill an hourly rate, and you don't want to pay $350 an hour for me to fill out those forms for you. But if you do, I will. You'll throw down that money, I'll fill those out for you. All right. Okay, this is about guns. Just know that I don't design living trusts to handle firearms. So I just want you to be aware of, if you're going to leave firearms or guns, you can do it through that memorandum that's in your trust, which says you can list out the property and who you want it to go to. Make sure you do not leave firearms. One, if they're like a machine gun and you have to have a trust to own those type of firearms, this is not that type of a trust, okay? You need to get a different type of trust to buy, I forgot the title, but there's a certain title where you can own machine guns and a bunch of bullets in case someone breaks into your house, so you can unload on them. In those kind of situations, when you're doing those kind of things, you got to put that together. But anyway, in any kind of event, I want you to be very careful. If you have a beneficiary that has a felony, you do not want to leave them a gun. Make sure that gets to somebody else. If you have any questions regarding the trust agreement, just feel free to reach out to me. I love spending my time, answering questions where I answered it in this video or wrote it down for you. No, I'm just kidding. If you have a question, you can reach out to our office. We'll be more than willing to help you out. However, I'm not going to be very happy if I knew it was in this video or in this document when you're asking me the question. That means you weren't paying attention. You weren't reading everything that you were supposed to read. But I understand most people don't read or it goes over their head. And so I'm totally okay, kind of, with you calling me and not paying me for my time. All right. I'm just kidding. I know you paid for the documents. All right. I told you I was going to be a little offensive. Don't get all upset with me. All right. Right here is trust cannot own property. I know that sounds really weird. Just talking about how you get property into a trust. It is the trustees that hold the property for the trust. So think of it like the trust document. What it's saying is, here's a piece of property. The trustee is holding this, and the trust is the rules. These are the rules of the property and how it can be used. Alrighty. Certificate of trust. Your privates should remain private. That's what I tell my children when they're getting out on the internet. Do not go showing your stuff to the world. People don't want to see it anyway. In this situation, your certificate of trust is a private document. Don't go showing it to the world unless someone demands to see it. Now, your financial advisor might want to see it. I can understand that. They want to know when you pass away. They already know who your kids are anyway. They invade in your life. They're annoying. But they get in your life. They dig around. They do all that kind of stuff. But that's their job. They're supposed to be annoying like that. And then if you're a financial advisor, once again, I'm sorry. I told you I'd be offensive. And here we are basically explaining that The certificate of trust is a summary of a trust. I took all the important information, put it in a document. So a title company, financial institution, a bank, the government, anybody wants to see your trust, you send them that certificate of trust. It tells them everything that they need to know, and it keeps your privates private. All right. Tax consideration, pass-through entities. What is a pass-through? This is a great legal term to know because everybody has to file taxes. Pass-through entities are entities that don't have an ID with the IRS, meaning the IRS doesn't even recognize them. The income and the losses, everything passed through this trust to you personally, so you can pay the taxes. All right, such a nice thing, right? It'd be great if we could give all our property to the trust, and the trust had to pay it, and then it couldn't, and then maybe we could move them offshore, and then the IRS couldn't find them. Those would be great ideas. That's a joke. That doesn't exist. Please don't do that. Okay, Social Security number is the tax ID number. Okay, so you just file your regular 1040 every year. Deeds. So the first day of law school, that professor, he was whipping out big words like deeds, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, buddy. A deed. If you were like me way back in the day, and I sat in that class, I had no idea what he was talking about. A deed is the instrument that conveys property. So one person owns a piece of property. They convey it to another. That document that shows that conveyance is a deed. Okay? That is the document. All it is saying this property was passed through, and deeds don't necessarily always pass everything. You think you own your whole land, but you don't. My professor explained it like this. So he had a bunch of sticks, and he said property law is a bunch of sticks. Oh, that was helpful. But if you think about it, it's like this. You have all these sticks, and you can take out rights to property. And you go, oh, this is the important one. Mineral interest rights. That goes over there to the oil company. This right to use the property, to be in it. Oh, I gave that to my tenant. This property, the right to manage it, I gave that to the trustee. Then I gave this right, the right to pay the taxes on the. Oh, I got to keep that one. This right here, this is the right to foreclose on my property. So think of property law like that, and a deed might convey all of them. We might put them all together, wrap it up nice and tight, and transfer it. Or a title company does. We look and we see and we go, oh, they didn't convey that one. They gave that to somebody else. So you got to be very careful when you're giving your property away to deed. You might deed the wrong thing to the wrong person. Went way too in depth. Once again, this is going to be quite long, but the goal is to learn something as you're going along here. All right, you have a homestead right in this home. What that means is it's protected under the Texas Constitution. You have some tax write-offs that you can get on a homestead. Most importantly, it protects you from creditors. Those people that gave you money and now they want their money back. I hate those people. If those people come after you and you've owned your house for more than 5 years in the state of Texas, and you own it outright, you can file bankruptcy and keep your house. And your house is also protected from creditors in general. So if you have this big old judgment against you, of course it doesn't apply to the IRS. They're above the law, all right? They can make up their own laws. And so the IRS can take your home, but nobody else can. You get to keep your house. I've had scumbags that have not paid their child support, but they get to keep their home because they have a homestead right. Now, I'll get people from other states. People ask me, well, if I move to another state, do I need to get this reviewed by an attorney? I say, of course you do. You think an attorney is going to tell you not to review? Of course you need to go get it reviewed by somebody, because I don't know the laws of every state. In the state of Texas, I get people coming in from California all the time, and they don't have this right to use the principal residence language that needs to be in their trust. Therefore, places like Dallas County will harass them and take their homestead exemptions away. Because Dallas County is a miserable place to be. Unless you're rich, live in Highland Park, they put snipers on top of their building whenever it was rioting and looting. They can get away with that kind of stuff. You can't, though. You don't live in Highland Park. Well, maybe you do. But if you don't, then you won't get away with it. All right. Now, one huge thing I just forgot to talk about. I told you could file bankruptcy after you own your house for 5 years. If we transfer your house into a trust, it will start that 5 years over again. However, usually we solve this problem. Not all the attorneys in my office agree. A lot of attorneys in my office want to deed the house into the trust every single time, and their argument is our clients don't file bankruptcy. Fine. However, most of the attorneys in my office use a transfer on death deed to transfer the property into the trust upon your passing. Transfer on death deed. It means the property transfers after you die, not when you're alive. So therefore, there is no transfer. Therefore, you can file bankruptcy. You can avoid the Medicaid lien. That's always my favorite one. Okay. If you do transfer your house into the trust, there's a possibility. There's a business rating that can happen. If that happens, you can call me and I will get you with my insurance agent. He's a great guy, and his insurance companies don't do this. Federal law, okay, prohibits the due on sale clause from being exercised against you for transferring your house to a trust. So you're allowed to do this under federal law unless the property is a large property that has 6 units. So rental properties become an issue. Now we go into vehicles here. So generally my advice is do not put your cars into the trust. We will worry about that after you pass away. Now, this can become an issue if you pass away and you're leaving your property to somebody other than your family, like your kids or your wife. You know, in most cases, we can use heirship affidavits and transfer the property. But let's say you're leaving it to the pool boy. You know, he's been great to you over the years, the eye candy, and so you want him to get it. Well, you need to get the house or the car into the trust, but I don't want it to go in when you're alive. So we'll have to use what's called beneficiary designation of motor vehicle. So people go, why don't you give that to me? Because you can do this. You take this right there, go like that, copy and paste, because remember we sent this to you. And guess what? Now you can use a PDF. You can copy and paste from a PDF. So you just go like that, boom. All right. Oh, looky there. The first thing, Google once again magically pulls it off for us here. So we got our, it popped over on my other screen. We got this form here. So we can fill out, we fill out the VIN number here, put all the stuff in here. You're the owner, okay? And you know, who's going to be the beneficiary? We could put the trust as the beneficiary here if we want to, or you can just leave it directly to a kid if you want to. All right, and then it comes down here, and this is very important to read. Okay, most people don't read this. Like the first time I did this, I didn't read this. I just went ahead and did it, and then for my own vehicle, and then I got this kicked back because I didn't send in the application for Texas title and registration form 130U. Got to pay them money though. See, it costs money to do this. The state always up to something, always trying to get a little buck out of you. So you got to do this other form here. And so where is my, oh gosh, my microphone's in the way. There, pop this up there. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Maybe this one. Okay. All right. There we go. Sorry guys, that took a little time. So we go here, form this one right here. So we need to go in here. We go in here. We go copy and paste, and we fill this and see if is it going to work. It's going to work. Oh god, I haven't done this in a long time, so I didn't know it was going to pull up. So I went over here because PDS apparently don't want to go to the regular. And look, we have to fill out this, okay? So we need to identify everything, and we make sure that we got everything filed, okay? All right, but those are the forms. As you can see, they're easy to get online. Everything is really easy to fill out if you want to go and do all this. If you don't, so let's say you don't do anything. That's what I always want to hear. It's okay, doctor, tell me the things I don't have to do. Okay, so what if I don't, get that surgery? Well, in this case, if you don't do this, your property will be distributed according to an heirship affidavit, which will leave if you're married and you don't have a blended family. So your wife or husband, your spouse's kids are all your kids together. All of your kids were with your spouse. In that situation, everything will go to your spouse. If not, So your blended family, then the vehicle will go to your children. It won't go to your spouse. Well, half of it. You remember, it's community property law. Gosh, we got to go through this again. 50-50 ownership. Your half of the property does not, under state law, does not pass to your spouse. If you have one child, even a child that you may not know about. So I tell women all the time, you know all your children. You are confident you know all of your husband's children. Women are disproportionately affected by estate planning, because if you don't have your husband's will and he dies, and all of a sudden this kid shows up out of nowhere, some baby mama shows up saying, "Oh, here's his kid." The kids get the property, not you. So you always want to have an estate plan done if you have a husband. He's the greatest guy. He would never do something like that. Well, I was in a courtroom once, and we walked in, and this old lady sees this young girl sitting in the pews, and I'm like, "Who's that?" And she's like, "I have no idea who that is." And come to behold, it is his daughter from a different relationship, and half of all the property, they had been married for 40 years, half of all the property ended up going to this girl and their other child. Well, their other child signed over the rights. But in any event, if you're a woman, you don't want that to happen. Your husband knows your kids. You can't really hide that from people. He can hide it from you. Now, I'm not bagging on guys. Guys, generally are okay. Will probably be better if we weren't around, but we're not going to, push that as a concept or anything. All right. Street name stocks, if you have the certificates. It's like way back in the day before brokerage, the actual certificates. You have to, flip them over, and on the back, you can transfer them to the trust. Okay. And I explained here how you do that. Savings bonds. Oh, so you want to get the savings bond. You can actually put these in a trust. So go there. Let's see if it still works. The link. I haven't checked this in a while. Pull it up. Pull that in. Boom. There it is. Look at that. How we transfer it right into a personal trust. I did that for you. I put that in there. So you have a nice, easy time of this. Look how nice I am. I'm a good guy. All right, so closely held corporate stock. So you own a business, you own a corporation with people. You need to get the back side of the certificates and change them. You got to ask if you're allowed. A lot of people work for these companies that aren't publicly traded, and so they are given shares. You got to ask also with the company, are you allowed to do this? Are you allowed to put it into the trust? You might not be able to, and you might have to probate your estate in order to get those shares out. So. Okay, partnerships and LLC interests. Okay, most people I deal with went online and formed their own LLC. And that's okay, but it's done wrong. It really, you just wasted money because you don't know what you're doing. It's like when my dad decided when I was a kid, my dad, it was like he's legendary in his ability to swear under his breath. And so like I remember the first time we watched Home Alone. He literally was dying laughing, like embarrassing. We're at the theater, and he's like laughing to the unbelievable amount because Harry sits there and curses under his breath, and my dad thinks that's so funny because he does the same thing. Well, anyway, my dad was out in the garage cursing up because he was not going to go get his brakes replaced by some mechanic who was going to rip him off. So he's in there, and he gets the brakes all put on there, jumps in the van, puts it in reverse, goes down our hill. And of course, he didn't pump the brakes because you wouldn't think, because you didn't have YouTube back then to know how to do it. So he had to hurry up and turn the wheel because he was flying. He was going to fly into our neighbor's house, and he slammed into a pole, destroying our van. Anyway, the $500 he would have to pay to replace the brakes cost him like $4,000 or something ridiculous. Anyway, that's like when people do their estate planning, they're all proud of themselves. I did it on the legal Zoom, And then, but the problem with this is you don't know that you screwed everything up until you're dead. And the same thing happens when you do your business wrong and I sue you. Oh, I wouldn't sue. An attorney sues you you get sued, and you're in a big old trouble. You have this problem over here. And so you didn't know that you needed an operating agreement. You can't have a business without an operating agreement. So in any event, we can transfer these LLC units over, but I got to look at your operating agreement. And usually I assume that I don't even have to look at it because you don't have one. So we just do it anyway. I don't have to look at it if it's a sole member. Of course, you can make all the decisions. That would be absurd if you created it and didn't give yourself that ability. Okay, bank savings and other accounts. All right. So you can have an account. Maybe you worked as a cashier somewhere at one time, and you see this old lady comes in and she has a check and it says, Martha Burge, Living Trust, and you're like, oh, this lady's rich. This lady's rich. She has a trust. And so you thought she was all right. Well, no, she just had her account put into her trust because she was a responsible adult, and she went down and she made sure. Now, how do you do this? Now, I've talked to Bank of America, Wells Fargo head guys, and they all tell me, everyone's like, you can take your current accounts and have the name changed on it to the trust. We allow you to do that. But every time I send my clients in, the bank teller, and if I was a superhero, my mortal enemy would be the bank teller. They're the ones that, I have to battle constantly. They say that they don't allow this. And it's because they get paid to open up accounts. So they probably, that's like, maybe I can I've never even thought about Googling this. Wells Fargo, can you change the name on an existing account, to a trust? Oh, look at there. Complete out this form. There you go. Maybe it's that easy. Maybe I'm doing this, done 10,000 estate plans, never thought about just Googling the answer. Oh, that's pretty pathetic. Anyway, let's move on here. Back to my document. Oh, nope, wrong document. There we go. And, okay, so anyway, I put step-by-step what you would need to do in order, because I get the question, how do I do this? Well, we put it in here, step by step, what you need to do. Even tell you, don't give your trust, give the certificate of trust to them. Okay? What if the bank or credit union will not allow a revocable trust account? Oh, that's the problem. I told you this is how we're going to avoid probate and everything. Well, you can do it a few different ways. One, you can put the beneficiary. So a lot of people just don't even want to deal with this. And I just tell them, well, just put the trust as the beneficiary. But remember our different scenarios that we may have. If you have a spouse and it's a separate account, you would want to put your spouse as primary beneficiary. The trust is the secondary beneficiary. If it's a joint account with rights of survivorship, so this is another way you can handle accounts. They say, hey, we don't allow beneficiary designations. You can do a joint account with rights of survivorship. They often call these pay on death accounts or transfer on death accounts. So they will use those terms POD, TOD, and then if they really don't help you in any possible way, you need to ask yourself, why am I banking here? And maybe move your bank. Certificate of deposits are this kind of the same concept. You can put those into a trust without penalty. I've never heard of, you can't, but we always have to assume there's some crappy bank out there that won't let you do it. If that's the case, wait till it matures or just put the trust as the beneficiary. Leases, you can change the lease over to the trust. Now, if you have rental properties, you want to put your rental properties into a business if possible, and then have the trust own the business. That's how we want to handle that scenario. Mineral interests. Most of you don't own these, but if you are like my family and you get your 2-cent check every month, this just tells you you can transfer it over into the trust. It is difficult. They make it really difficult on you to do it, but it might be beneficial. I told them, like last time, you can just, instead of sending me the 2 cents, I will take the postage stamp amount and you can PayPal it to me. All right. Safe deposit box. And so you could take your safe deposit box, you can put it into the trust. But if up here in North Texas, like all of them are taken because there's a huge Indian population and they own jewelry and they have taken them all. And the banks don't even, like, if you want to start a business, start a safe deposit box business, because man, that thing would probably just take off right here. Like, it gets a big old fortress and, and have all this stuff, because a lot of people around here have a lot of wealth in safe deposit box. So now, if you go to the bank, they'll make you get back on. You have to give it up, start over from the beginning. So just you can put a beneficiary of the safe deposit box and put your trust as the beneficiary. Club memberships. All right. So club memberships, you can take these club memberships and you can have them put into trust if you want to. Most people, most of your kids probably don't want these. So if you're my family generation kind of wealth, that means timeshares. You can transfer your bad financial decision over to your children if you want to. That's allowed. But if you do that, you got to understand that the trust might become responsible for the membership. In any event, going through this whole scenario with you here, going through everything, I've gone through all the major points that you may face. Most people own a home and have accounts. That's 90% of our clients. They own a home, they have an account, and they have vehicles. Those are the three things that they have to worry about. Those are the three areas. So home, we will deed it over. You don't need to worry about that. The bank accounts, you need to worry about. You need to go on, like I did on Google up each account, get the form, fill them out, send them in. And if you're confused, the better person to call is not me. While I can kind of help you, call your company. Call your financial advisor. He makes 10 times every year what I make off of you from the 1 year doing your estate plan. He's billing you monthly. He can help you fill out your forms. And don't feel like you're inconveniencing him. He's taking 2% of your money every year. So you can help out. You can get that done. In any event, I've gone through everything with you. I want to thank you for using us. If I've offended you, I'm not sorry, because I warned you at the very beginning that this was going to be incredibly offensive. But the next steps that we need to go through is getting all that set up. If you have any more questions, if you feel confused about anything, I'm joking. You can absolutely call us. We'll help you through this process the best we can. All right. Thank you for choosing the Willingham Law Firm, and I wish you the best.